It is January 2nd, 2026. I've got 2 gun barrels I need to charcoal blue. Through the years, I've probably done, I don't know, it's been 20 some years since I did the first one. Used some of the technique that was in those ARM technology books that the NMLRA did, that the guys down at Colonial Williamsburg did. Made a trough the first go around out of 2 pieces of stovepipe, then finally used a piece of barn metal siding, and now I'm using this chicken feeder my wife had out there. It's long enough, and we're going through some of it. I don't tend to like to use pine, because the pine that I found through the years, when it pops, that resin actually, if a piece goes into the charcoal, it'll melt that resin down over top of the barrel and make a blotch. Anytime you're doing this stuff, it's kind of like a science project. It's like there's probably 20 ways to bake a cake. I'm going to show you the way it tends to work for me, but we'll see how the cake looks when it's all said and done. And today we're using maple to get a hot fire. We'll throw some oak in with it on the sides. Got those 2 pieces of steel down there. They're going to raise the pan up just enough and keep hot coals underneath so I can keep the fire going. I preheat my charcoal. The key is, whenever you're working on your gun barrel, and I got to go prep mine right now, clean them all up, make sure there's no oil and no moisture. Preheat your barrel, chase all the moisture out of it before you put it in the trough. And also preheat your charcoal ahead of time to get rid of any moisture in it, because the moisture will make steam, and steam makes rust, and rust makes blotchiness on your barrel when you pull it out the first time to test it. So we're going to let this rock and roll for a little bit, throw this tray on there, and I will come back to you when we've got something more fun to talk about. Okay, we have both barrels in there. You can see these wires coming through. I was being cut on time trying to prep these things. What I do is I stone hone them down with a wet stone, and then I come through afterwards, wipe them down with a very clean cloth with no oil or no synthetics. Preheat the barrel a little bit with a torch, just enough. You can see it's getting a little heavy on the fire in the middle. I'll probably go ahead and pull that back here in just a second. I'm going to punch this video down. You see I have, those are our mascot turkeys in the background. No, it's not spring. These are ones that we raise here at the farm. But this piece of steel here are nice, because if you have to take a barrel out and set it down, you can't set it on wood because it'll pull the resin out and make a spot. So if you do have to pull a barrel and check something, you can lightly set it on those pieces of steel, and it's only putting 2 contact points on it without actually touching it. Because if you touch that barrel with your leather glove, you touch it with anything, you'll know. Even a fingerprint that you've done ahead of time can be a problem as you're bluing it. And you won't know that for sure until you pull it out and you say, okay, now what do we got? It's kind of like peeking at a cake too soon. And what we do, we take the breech plugs out of the guns, put those on a separate wire. And by having them on a separate wire, that's our test gauge. The breech plugs are on each end of this tray for the 2 barrels. And I can pull the breech plugs, see what the color looks like, and it gives you a pretty good idea what's happening. The goal here is to try to keep the heat even. And as you can see, our one end down here is a little bit lazy, and the center is going a little crazy. So we're going to go ahead and jump in here and spread that out a little bit and just basically babysit it. That's where we are at this moment. Bye, guys. Okay, what we have here, we filled our tray up with charcoal, and you can see the top of it turning a little bit ashy, which is fine. What you'll find is the charcoal's not burning down in there. And I believe what's happening, we're heating the barrel up. You want to get around 700 to 800 degrees with the barrel itself. And if you heated up a piece of steel, you would see it go to your normal straw, violet, blue, then a gray color, then like a black, almost red. And then you go red, and then you go into the full orange that you normally see with heat colors if you're forging. Well, we're bringing the barrel up to that black red, to the point that you pull this barrel out in the darkness, which we might, because we're kind of chasing the evening here, and it will actually have that black red coloration. But what's happening, you'll get this oxidation of this pretty blue color on it. I've taken the barrel down some with the stones. I mean, not super high polish. When you look at some of the Jaeger rifles, the originals, they have almost that translucent blue watercolor. And if you polish the barrel up to a absolute phenomenal, 800 grit or something like that, I believe you could get that translucent blue. But I don't tend to take it that far, because most original guns that I've seen the originals, you know. And people can say, oh no, it's not charcoal blue, but I've taken so many original guns apart. You may not see it on the top of the barrel, but you see it on the bottom flats. And it's not from the forging. You'll actually see those blue colors. I found them on trade guns everywhere from the 1740s, 50s, all the way up into 1830s on some of the Barnetts. They'll be charcoal blue. I'm sure they're making a big trough or whatever they're using. I'm sure they're using, you know, multiple barrels. They're doing all this process at one time and have perfected it to a point that it's much easier. But it gives it such a nice blue coloration. It also cleans up easier, more rust resistant across the board. It's not just a color. My bluing on my rifle is 20-some years old. It's still holding up very good. Still kind of blotchy from hand wear, and it will wear down into kind of a grayish tone. But it is so neat, unusual, just a way to, it's a different way to do your barrel. As I'm showing you, it doesn't take rocket science. If you have a tray, you're careful with making sure it doesn't have oil on it. If you put inlays, first barrel I ever did had a signature inlay in the barrel itself. And I was worried the silver would roll up out of it, but it all stayed fine. Touch hole liners stayed fine, sights and everything. But if you do anything that has silver solder, if you silver solder your tenons or lugs on the bottom or soft solder, they will absolutely fall off. You know, you are getting past the point that many of the soft solders. Now, if you brazed it, you have a good chance of it probably staying on the bottom of the barrel. So we're just cooking along here. We hope and pray that everything's good inside. This is kind of one of those things, it's like an old time cake. You hope it doesn't fold up in the middle. We'll pull this out after a while, probably another hour or so from now, and see what our coloration looks like. At least we'll pull the breech plugs that are on the far ends of the tray to see what they're looking like. Other than that, that's what we got happening. We have been on the fire about probably an hour and a half, I would say. You can see the charring come across the top of it. Wood's doing really good. This is maple. I've used oak and different hardwoods. I don't like the pine. I think we touched on that earlier, because the pine, what I found is when you use pine and it pops, if a piece pops up into the container, what happens, that resin melts and goes right down through your charcoal on top of the barrel and makes a big blotch spot. And then you got to pull it out and hone it. Now, if you have to take the barrel out, and I hope we don't have to play that game here soon, but if you have to take the barrel out and hone it, I use a stone. You can see we have wires sticking up. Those wires are a piece of weld wire that's going through the center of the barrel. That's how we pick it out of the trough. Now, mind you, those wires get smoking hot, but it's an easy way to pick it up and set it, like I said earlier, just set it on these two pieces of steel right here. Try to do it with the barrel side down so you don't scratch the surface on the top 5 flats. But if you can set it there, you can take a stone that, and mind you, when I say a stone, I'm talking about a honing stone like you would normally sharpen a knife with, but it's never touched oil. If you get an old stone and you say, hey, I want to use this stone for sharpening whatever, and it's all water-based, take that stone, put a little vinegar and some water, boil it in a pot, and it'll pull a lot of that oil or almost all of it out of your stone. So you can take a really, I've been to flea markets, bought a really cruddy stone that's all gummed up with steel and oil, and sit there and boil it and clean it up, take a steel brush, kind of scrub it, and you can take a really, what looks like a $2 stone and turn it into a, you know, whatever a good stone costs in today's world. But hopefully we don't have to play that game. So that's where we are at the moment. Okay, one of the fun parts about doing these gun barrels out here is it gives you all this nice charcoal to work with. So what we have here, a piece of drill stock, and we've got a piece of yummy venison on here. Threw a little bit of garlic and pepper to it. We're just kind of searing it outside right now. We're going to wrap some bacon around it here after a bit, and probably wrap it in foil and slow cook it. But the biggest thing you got to be careful of is when you got help, you got shop dogs. Isn't that right, shop dog? Yep, shop dog says I'd be happy to help. So you got to be careful with the shop dog unattended around the gun barrel. So be very, very careful with that. So anyhow, we will show you hopefully a yummy piece of venison here in a bit and a finished gun barrel. Okay, we pulled the barrels out, looked at them real quick. There's one of them that's not quite blued enough, so we threw both of them back in there. Breech plugs look good. Just bringing the heat back up, and we've got our venison wrapped in foil right there. He's just cooking along with some onions and a little tiny bit of maple syrup in there, just for some sweetening and actually a little bit of thyme. It gives an aromatic that's fun. Anyway, we're going to eat well. Barrels should look good, hopefully. We'll pull them out, let them cool off. You can see it is dark here. We started early, kind of late in the evening, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's like 6:30 now. We're on no hurry, and we're on just country time. Here's our 2 gun barrels, guys. We pulled them out. We put some oil on them. We are very happy with the color. A couple little spots on them, I'm okay with it. I mean, there's not like a resin spot where the bluing didn't take. You know, there are always discolorations, and I'm fine with that. I mean, a little bit of character is fine. You'll find the inside of the bore is blued as well, so when we clean the gun after we shoot it, we find it takes about half as many patches to get where you want to be. And the coloration, you know, it's a historically accurate color. And when you see people shoot a gun that you've built with this, and I've had that for almost 20 years, people are up on the line, they're shooting a gun that you built, and you're like, wow, what a pretty color. And it wears really nice. It will wear over time as people are shooting it. And it'll turn kind of a grayish color as you wear it down. And some of the originals I've had in the shop, you know, you don't realize they're actually charcoal blued until you take the gun out and you see it on the underside of the barrel. So I'm telling you, I'm trying to put this video out there so you realize this is not rocket science. I've been to gun shows. People make this like some science project. You have to, you know, be a voodoo doctor to do it. It's bull stuff. It's bull. I'm telling you, you can do this at home. I'm trying to help you. Do it yourself. And it is very, very fun. Get some meat. Get some venison, cook it on the side, get a 6-pack of brown beer or whatever makes you happy, get a couple friends, and when it's all said and done, you'll be happy, they'll be happy, and you'll say, wow, we did something cool today. So give it a try, guys.